come ready to battle.
All right, let's see how it plays out. It is time for another day packed with action in the LEC Summer Split. Let's hit the Rift.
Thank you very much, Shucks. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Quickshot, joined by VandeR once again today as we are diving into exceL versus Rogue. Day 2 of the Summer Split. We're just about ready for picks and bans, so what can we expect?
Well, we can expect in the top lane. Sorry, that was really bad. But we have two of our teams here that went through a lot of changes during the offseason, and yesterday I think things did not go according to plan for them. And today is their day to start, their journey towards a better split in the summer, as two of our lovely cameramen had a cameo.
Just saying hi. Small cameos. Much like Yuumi's cameo, we're seeing Yuumi in
We're
ban,
not seeing any Yuumi. She's just gone.
A lot of bans worldwide, though. I think I've only seen one game where Yuumi was played over in the LPL. Continues to be permaban. Is that your prediction?
Yeah. I think we've actually seen a lot of blue side teams banning the Yuumi too. So she is one of those newer champions. I think some teams either don't feel comfortable playing her or just want to get her completely out of the picture, which we're going to see a lot more today.
Well, let's see what the priority here is for exceL and Rogue. Both teams taking to the stage, looking to pick up and win today. And as we dive into the draft, some of those big champions that we're seeing, Irelia off the table, Heimerdinger targeted at Hjarnan. And you actually said to me, will we see Heimer banned every game? So far, yes.
Yeah, that seems to be the case here. Of course, Hjarnan known for that pick so much, but bans looking very similar to yesterday. The flexible options of Irelia and Aatrox seem to be mandatory bans here for these teams. And I'm still eyeing that Yuumi, expecting that to be the final ban here from Rogue. Otherwise, exceL should just snap block that in.
Well, let's find out. Sona's going to be the target instead. We saw Origin yesterday using the Sona Tom Kinch lane to lethal effectiveness. And for the last ban opportunity here on Rogue, if it's not Yuumi, what other options would you consider?
Well, we also have the Sylas and the Ryze, I think. Sivir, too, was 100% presence in yesterday's games. We wouldn't expect to see the Sivir banned, but that has been a very solid staple pick so far. And it will be the Ryze ban, so this is going to be our first Yuumi game in the split.
Okay, so who's going to pick it up? That's the question. You would assume exceL first picking. If this happens, we will dive a little deeper into the options, but what would you like to see in and around that Yuumi? I mean, do you pair it with anything particular to
honestly, I would love to see it paired alongside a Sivir. You have the safety of that champion. Speed it on up. We got Cat and Book in game 1 and day 2.
Well, there we go. So you want to see her with the Sivir. We will be talking more about the mechanics of Yuumi in-game and tracking just how frequently KaSing hops in and out of his bot lane partner to harass, push that lane and push that wave down, and Rogue have to figure out what to do against this cat.
Yeah, I think you go ahead and take the Xayah here. It is a very strong AD carry, and then Sylas is still up and available. There are a lot of good junglers too, but I don't think Rogue need to go for that too early. Sylas is one of those last very high priority power picks left and available that can flex between both Prophet and Larssen to very, very good effect.
All right, so there's going to be the Xayah already confirmed. A few seconds left to go. And I can't wait to see what this Yuumi does here in Europe. It will be the Senjuani locked in. Has sort of surprised me a little in how high the priority has been for Senjuani, but definitely seems to really fit the current meta, especially with the solo laners.
Yeah, and we actually saw yesterday exceL taking that in the first rotation, so Rogue trying to take that away from Caedral. Now, exceL are hovering the Ezreal. That, I think, is another very good pairing alongside the Yuumi. Similar to Sivir, it has some self-peel tools, because we know the Yuumi doesn't have the greatest peel, but when she is ahead with something like an Ezreal that can arcane shift forward, she can be absolutely terrifying to play against.
Okay, so, oh man, I'm so excited to see how this works out and what level of practice Hjarnan and KaSing are going to have with this champion. Whenever you tend to have these 100% ban-style champions, sometimes it's a bait. If you haven't got the scrims under your belt, if you haven't got the communication and the understanding of playing, especially something as unique as this pick, we're going to have to evaluate, and you're going to have to give me a score out of 10 on how well Hjarnan and KaSing play the duo and exceL utilize her kits.
Yeah, we'll have to be judging KaSing on that one, although he's a long-time enchanter player, I feel like, so the Yuumi should be something very much in his wheelhouse. Now, looking over to the right side of your screen here, Rogue already with a strong core more of a team fight composition. The Xayah and Rakan bring a lot of CC and damage alongside that Senjuani as well. We've seen be very, very powerful. And one thing I do want to just insert right now is we have seen Senjuani picked a lot, and I think that it's one of those champions that works well with melee champions in the top lane, in the mid lane. So we can maybe expect to see Rogue opt into one or two of those picks.
And something we've seen is the Sylas Camille. We saw it yesterday. We've seen it in other leagues. Camille is still open and available. Maybe it's the game to go for it. Maybe it's not. We'll find out as this draft plays out. In phase 2 of the bans, Jarvan and Kennen have been taken away from the pool. Another jungler removed. Obviously, with Rogue having a jungler themselves, denying some of those champions that really you don't want to get in the face of Sylas.
Yeah, so right now I think Rogue may be eyeing up the Rumble to lock in here for Profit in the top lane. They went for that yesterday. It would also commit even harder to this idea that they do want to play for the 5v5s, that they have these AoE ultimates that really would layer up alongside each other well. And we have just seen that Rumble has been introduced to the league as a relatively safe blind pick, I think, in the top lane.
All right, so let's see if they agree. And of course, one of the options you can run into, a classic actually, Renekton into Rumble, get some assistance from your jungler if needed, go for those kill lanes. Whether or not Profit will lock this in or not is also somewhat of a denial. Expect ran that Renekton yesterday, survived a gank in the early stages of the game from his former teammate, and it wasn't enough to help exceL win the game, and Profit's got that locked in. I'm seeing a lot of early to mid-game power already in this comp.
Yeah, Rogue had a lot of those tools. Now I think exceL need an early game jungler. You have Elise and Rek'Sai that are up. I think Rek'Sai may be a better fit because right now exceL have a lot of magic damage they would be bringing to the table, and with champions like Renekton and the Senjuani that can build a lot of MR, they might want to diversify their damage portfolio for this one.
All right. Oh. Seconds, they're going to be the Larssen instead, so a little bit of a difference, and KaSing will always hover the Zillions, his favorite champion. What do you make of the Larssen so far? A lot of pick I'm already seeing, a little bit of poke in there as well.
Yeah, the Larssen's an interesting one here because I think if you go for the Conqueror, you can try to fight against the Senjuani early, but it's not something that really does a whole lot against that champion because Senjuani, of course, with those tanky stats, should be able to avoid any of those earlier fights. I actually think that the setup early on is maybe even a little bit better for Rogue. Once they have a couple levels under their belt, the Senjuani should end up outscaling this Larssen.
Okay, now with the Rumble locked in, what's your take on the exceL team composition and how they're going to transition from the laning phase into those team fights, or how do they look to win the game?
exceL's comp is actually really cool, I think, because you look at things like the Yuumi Q, the Rumble Equalizer as well. That's a lot of long-range engage, but it just slows, right? It's not that hard CC to try and lock people down, but when you throw a Sylas into the mix that can take the Senjuani ult or even the Rakan ultimate, you have a lot of these tools to combine in and make exceL's team fighting very variable, based on what ultimate the Sylas has and how they can approach the fight with hard CC.
Oh man, it's going to be very difficult to pull off then as well. A lot of nuance and difference in approaches, of course, based on what you've been able to steal. And there's a lot of high, impact ultimates available too special to steal. Azir was the final lock-in for Rogue.
Yeah, I think when you see Rogue's comp, it's obvious it's team fight presence with strong top and bot lanes early on, especially. And you say, wow, that seems like a very easy composition to execute. It's very clear ideas of how we want to approach these team fights, whereas exceL's is maybe a little bit more convoluted, and they might have to learn it as they go.
I absolutely love that, because when you have a quote-unquote simpler to execute comp, it generally means or implies your team can rally behind the same direction. But if exceL are up to the task, and if individually they can make these unique synergies in the skirmishes work, technically you can get ahead and maybe, prevent Rogue ever getting to that very clear big team fight kind of position.
Yeah, I think for exceL, they have a composition that can, be very, very oppressive when ahead or fall behind and do not a whole lot. So going to be looking especially at picks like this Yuumi. How can she do in this bottom lane, as well as Caedral to impact in the early game?
obviously, as we load up into the game, there is a short pause. Thank you, Berlin, for having good spirits here and laughing with us. I will give you an update as soon as I hear exactly what is happening. But what I am happy about is, Ender, we get a moment or two to talk about this Yuumi. Now, let's set some expectations on what we want to see, first of all, from KaSing and from this duo lane into maximizing her potential.
Yeah, well, I think when you have Yuumi on your team, you have a very interesting dynamic in the bottom lane, because a lot of people see the attach mechanic and just assume you're supposed to sit inside your AD carry, go through laning phase, and not do a whole lot. But what we've seen a lot of pro players and high elo players doing is actually detaching and using your auto attacks to help push the lane. That's very important, of course. And then only really jumping inside if you're in trouble or when your Q is off cooldown. Because when you have that Q off cooldown, if you're working well with your ally, it's almost impossible to miss that skill shot.
Oh, almost impossible. All right, we'll have to see how many land. And of course, I do want to ask you to evaluate the decision making. You know, we did talk about sort of gamifying how we watch this duo. Very unique mechanic, very interesting to see how it's impacted in pro play. And as you could see on screen just a moment ago, headsets just being double checked. I think they actually were replaced there for KaSing. And as soon as he gives the thumbs up that his audio is working, we should jump back into the game. You need to hear all those Yuumi quotes. I mean, Medic was looking for his Yuumi, and he found Yuumi under the table earlier today.
Was that Yuumi?
It was. It looked like Yuumi to me. Hey, cat ears in a book.
Yeah, I did see the cat ears. I did see the book. The rest, I'm not entirely sold on, but I'm not one to judge.
Well, it's definitely a very good cosplay. Congratulations, Radius. Just as a quick update as well, the last time Larssen played Azir on the LCS stage was with H2K in summer in 2018, and he actually won the game. It was against Splice, so...
That was H2K's first win of the split after going 0-13.
There you go, breaking that record. As it stands, if I fits, I sits. KaSing has stepped all the way on the back foot of Hjarnan up to the river, and we can see the range on that projectile as it flies all the way forward.
Yeah, one of the fun things you can do with the Ezreal and the Yuumi early on is to try to fish for money, because of course Ezreal has the Kleptomancy, so you tossed out the Mystic shots, and KaSing can use the Prowling projectile to also scout bushes, get the slow to help Hjarnan get that money a little bit easier.
All right, and now we're going to be looking, how often does KaSing, detach from his anchor point Hjarnan, try to trade this wave? How's this going to match up into what is a very strong duo in Xayah and Rakan? And, what would your expectations be on who could, or maybe should, come out ahead in this lane?
Yeah, so I think actually the Ezreal Yuumi should be very comfortable in this lane. Maybe not if you don't have your jungler around, you can't push all that safely, but with Ezreal, it makes it very difficult for Rakan to ever find and engage. His all-in with the W is very telegraphed, and once he gets the ultimate, the change to that actually made it so that you can't cast your W immediately, so you can't get that immediate CC, which should mean that Ezreal Yuumi will be able to avoid any sort of trouble, even around the level 6 mark for Rogue.
Okay. That's a little bit of expectation setting as we look across the rest of the map. Special into Larssen. There's, of course, Hjarnan trying to push that wave out a little. Sylas, I think, a little bit of troubles early on. Once he gets some levels under his belt, can look to trade and fight back, I imagine.
Yeah, he definitely can. He's also going for the Conquerors. Yeah. That indicates to me that he wants to play more of a split push style later on. He can take duels against the Renekton, perhaps, once you hit, level 11 and you're in a side lane in that 1 versus 1. But I do also think, talking about the idea of Rumble is interesting as well here. Because one of the things about this champion, why we're seeing it a lot more, is because he has a lot to offer in terms of the 2v2 with your jungler. You overheat, you get a lot more bonus damage. Yeah. Level 6 as well, you can either use that offensively, or if you're at threat of being dove, you can use that to just clear away the waves and get out of trouble.
All right, let's take a look back down at the bottom lane as you've checked in any other spots for now. KaSing has already stepped outside of the anchor, the wave pushing towards them, 10 CS to 12, but there's 2 available for Hjarnan to even that out, and he does so. Now I'm going to keep a close eye on exactly the trading patterns and how KaSing is utilizing the kitty cats.
Yeah, you'll see he is taking a lot of auto-attack trades here because his health bar actually doesn't matter that much. Yeah. If you pop out and use the passive to pick up a shield, you can actually take very advantageous trades because the passive also makes so your auto-attack is much more fluid and instant. And you can see with Caedral around them in the bottom lane, they can go a little bit more aggressive and throw those skill shots forward. Man, it's just so frustrating. Ezreal in lane was already difficult with Mystic Shot, Harass, and now you've got to add the entire kit of Yuumi to work with. Caedral will get spotted out here by Inspired, run into a flail, but that will be all. He's able to walk away. Obviously, Inspired didn't really want to go for any sort of trade there, so got the vision, got the information, and backed away. So one of the things we're actually seeing from KaSing in his rune choice is a little bit less standard, I would say. He's going for the Arcane Comet, which we do see from time to time. This is a little bit more, it has more of an emphasis on dominating the lane. It gives you more damage, and because of the Q slow, you're pretty much guaranteed to get that to land, but he's also going for Resolve as his secondary tree. And what I'm most used to seeing is actually going into the Precision tree, because with Cut Down, you actually get a whole lot more damage on your Q, which is actually really high base damage. And because she has so little HP, it gives her a lot more in these types of Q poke trades.
And I like the fact exhaust and heal as well, because she's got that you and me, the ability to anchor onto AD carry, or really anybody else, can follow the teleports, can follow the flashes, etc. Means you don't need that utility summoner, and that's what this double combat. So could be very, very game-changing, especially that exhaust into the likes of the Renekton and the Azir in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, and you can see what he's doing there is Caedral comes into mid lane. This is just going to be to help push out the wave and get Special a little bit better of a recall. He's going to be completely out of mana here, but they don't feel comfortable staying. Because of the lack of mana, if Inspired was in the area, they're just going to send him back to base to TP back in and get those resources back.
All right, so very, very standard sort of start to this game. Difference of power, of course, in the laning phases. Profits being pushed in by exceL, but Special being bullied a little by Larssen. There's a little bit of damage onto Woolite, not going to follow through. No further engage. And the first few minutes of gameplay, what's your current review or rating on KaSing's Yuumi?
I'd say it's pretty average right now on the Yuumi. They haven't been able to do a whole lot, but I think Yuumi actually scales up much better after her first base, and especially once she starts getting levels in the queue, because early on that's about a 10-second cooldown. It ends up scaling down to like 4 or 5 seconds, where you can just spam that sucker out a whole lot. And you can see, nice play from KaSing. He was trying to block the skill shot so that Hjarnan's teleport or recall could go through. Unfortunately for them, VandeR has the W as well to get the AoE knockup.
All right, so interrupts the recall back timing for now. Now remember, when exceL is overheated, won't be able to cast any more spells. Needs the cooldown. That's flash already blown. Trading flash for profit. The stun, the flails, spinning for the winning. One more auto's all that's needed. exceL survives another 2v1.
So sick right there, waiting there for the shield. Inspired actually flashes forward to try and find that final auto attack, but exceL is able to get out clean.
Oh, so good. Yesterday, he did it against Schalke. Today, he does it against Rogue. So very well played. 2 flashes for 1. And it looks like the recalls from VandeR and Woolite should be able to complete while Hjarnan is dealing with that minion wave underneath his tower.
Yeah, also because Inspired was seeing top lane, this gives time for Caedral to walk on in and take the Gromp camp. They also know that Woolite and VandeR went back to base, so just a nice invade timing here from Caedral, who also spots out Inspired and knows he has a level lead.
All right, so small advantage to Inspired. Correction, Caedral in that regard. But taking stock of the CS, as we talked about, those laning benefits, exceL is up 12, and Larssen is currently up 8, as exceL's making his way to the mid lane.
Yeah, this is really cool. He has the equalizer now, and he was looking to see maybe there's an opportunity. You saw a special actually with the Emperor's Divide as well to try and get that knockback in case a play was going to be possible. But one of the things exceL is doing really well at the moment is putting down deep vision. You know, first it started with Caedral on the bottom side of the map, then during that roam, exceL actually put down a control ward up top side. Caedral, or exceL has to flash away. That's the replay. I'm getting baited.
I was just about to save you there for a second. Obviously, that was the replay from exceL's POV as we can see exceL, they've now started the Infernal, right? All of that information that you talked about in the setup, with Caedral coming in, stealing away the camp, then moving to his stronger side of the jungle, pushing away Inspired allows exceL to pick up early objective, early farm, and this is a very good early game here for exceL.
Yeah, I like it so far. You can also go on ProView, check out KaSing and his Yuumi, the first one ever. You see Hjarnan using that E to find the clean disengage from VandeR popping forward.
That's it. If you want to watch that ProView, riot.com/ProView. Go check it out. All right, so still trading. 63 CS to 61. It's pretty even in this bottom lane, actually. Pushing back and forth. But now we're starting to get to these level 6s. So what is Yuumi Ezreal going to do at 6? Is there any big change? Because I know that there's some kill pressure that Rogue can play with if they get there.
Basically, the way that Yuumi Ezreal lanes work is you're never just going to immediately walk into lane and go for an all-in. This lane is very much about attrition and whittling you down over time because of the low cooldowns and the range of their poke spells. So once you see Woolite or VandeR drop below 50%, that's when we might see them go a little more aggressive.
Okay. HP going to be very, very important. Woolite's still got his flash available to him. and he's obviously got the ultimate just to jump away from any of the potential CC that can come down. But if you look at the minimap, look, Special's left his lane, and Caedral again is going for an invade. He's using this early game power of Larssen very, very well, but I think he ended up losing that fight and didn't get the blue buff from his
Yeah, I think Caedral could have played that a little bit better, holding his Q to time it with the eventual smite coming down. Maybe then could have stolen it away from Inspired. Inspired is level 6 though and wants to find a play. No, oh, that is so good.
Oh, they're not going to be able to dodge away. The arcane shift was so good, but the final chapter did so much work, and Hjarnan and KaSing played that well.
Yeah, I really liked that though from Woolite, channeling his ultimate early, because again, you can't immediately cast your flash or your W after popping the quickness. So he was using the control ward to try and hide that one. It was just a quick reaction from Hjarnan to make the play.
All right, True Shot Barrage is available, but there's not a lot of mana to work with on Hjarnan's side. We'll get the channel, and ultimate thrown from Woolite. He actually stepped dead center. Would have been close.
Yeah, now luckily for Woolite, he didn't actually teleport earlier in lane when he went back to base. So if he can get this channel off, he should be able to return, but he will not have VandeR with him, and Caedral is setting up for a dive with his own ultimate.
Oh, a lot of damage is going to go down into that bottom lane tower, and this is going to give Hjarnan and KaSing just a bit of an advantage. They're already up 400 gold. Their Kleptomancy's doing a lot of work, plus the additional minion wave. And there's the teleport you just talked about. Woolite will return to lane, and he'll start to push this back out.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it's a 400 gold lead for the Ezreal, but it's also a 400 gold lead for this Yuumi. You know, with that extra range, it is so much more reliable that you're able to apply your, you can use your Eye of Frost to get that gold, whereas the low range of the Rakan is not able to cash in quite as easily. What we're also seeing is a Dark Seal pickup for KaSing, because you turn that into a Mesh Eyes, and you're really not going to die on this champ.
No, definitely not. A lot of safety. If your team's playing well, you know, if your attachment from you and me is the right time, right place, you can get away with a lot. I've got a quick stat question for you, VandeR.
I have to answer?
You do indeed.
You're usually the guy that answers quick stats.
What was Woolite's CSD at 15 yesterday? Dun, 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 dun,
Minus 45.
Oh, terrible answer. He was at minus 66 CSD.
I thought 45 was bad.
Yesterday. That was, of course, against Misfits and Hans Summer's Lucian. So he really got bullied, and Misfits camped that bottom lane.
Yeah, they
now,
really
I'm not
did.
saying this to pick on Woolite, just saying that this game is a lot more even. There hasn't been anywhere near the same level of focus in the bottom lane, and also the matchup is just a little bit more bearable.
Yeah, I mean, if my quick maths are correct, then Hjarnan should have a 72 CS lead at 15, so he's got to put in a little bit more work before that mark comes around.
That is exactly how those stats work and are actioned, and you're learning well, Ender. Good job for that one.
Thanks.
He's not likely to get a 72 CS advantage in the next 4 minutes. But as far as CS advantages go, Prophet's even out. You know, he was down 10-15, and we've not looked too much at this Renekton and Rumble matchup. Both of them teleports available, at least for expect very, very shortly. And we're starting to get to this point where maybe top laners want to get involved. You know, it could happen, especially with high impact ultimate like Equalizer.
Yeah, I think Rogue would really like to actually make a play around here. They're actually bringing their duo up towards this Rift Herald because there's no dragon on the bottom side of the map. Caedral doesn't have any idea they're waiting here. It's a good control ward to spot out Woolite and VandeR.
And this was going to be a pretty safely secured Rift Herald then. The cost is, of course, onto the bottom lane. So Hjarnan and KaSing will take even more of those turret plates, still 2 minutes of life up. And with the Rift Herald available, you'd have to expect some sort of plate gank. Drop the Herald, get the gold, and get out.
I'm loving it. The return to the plate game gank here, because that is going to be the trade in the end. Before that 14-minute mark, you have to go ahead and pop that. And Inspired wasn't going to waste any time. But at the same time, it will be first turret going down in favor of exceL. So you feel like they are a little bit more happier with this trade.
Do you like the decision? You know, Rogue opted into this trade. They pulled their duo out. They opted into the Rift Herald, and now they've lost a tower. They may not be able to secure one in reply as well, depending on how quickly expeC can clear the wave.
Yeah, so on one hand, I do like it because they were slowly losing that bottom lane in terms of overall gold going over to Hjarnan and KaSing, but they weren't able to find a fight. I think if you can get the Herald and maybe bait Caedral in to try and contest you around that objective, or use the element of surprise to get a dive onto expeC, then it's going to be a trade up, but instead it was a trade down because not only were they unable to secure that tower quickly, but also the Ocean Drake went into the hands of exceL.
Yeah, so all advantages to exceL. They've got every single objective except First Blood yet. And I think with some confidence, this will be the latest first blood of the summer split here in Europe. But let's look forward for the next 5 minutes. Yuumi and Ezreal, they've come out the laning phase. They've got themselves a gold lead, a minus CS advantage. They've got the tower, so all things going well. How do you want exceL to play this mid game with this mix mash of a team composition?
Yeah, the way I see exceL's comp is it's a comp that does very well around the 2-item mark, you know, around level 11 for their Rumble, with expect in the top lane, but also Hjarnan's Ezreal. Once it gets, you know, the Miramana finished off, you're going to be sitting at 40% CDR, you're going to be able to really play a little bit more aggressively with the support of this Yuumi, whereas Rogue's comp with the Azir in the mid lane as well as that Xayah, maybe rely more on their 3-item spike. So exceL have this window now around, you know, from now until around the Baron spawns, where they really will have a little bit more of an advantage, especially with the gold lead they've built up.
All right, and of course, there's only 1,000 gold for now, but they've got some of those first items coming in. You know, Iceborne Gauntlet for Hjarnan, plus the tier that's stacking, Essence Reaver for Woolite, Luden's in the mid lane, Nash's Tooth for Larssen, so itemization coming in. I'm looking at stopwatches. Very important to keep track of who has those for these first big exchanges. And thus far, I only see one on the side of expect. Prophet teleported to the river. Maybe expecting a little bit more of an engage. You have to feel that's a little bit of a wasted summoner spell. Potentially used defensively. I didn't quite see what the reasoning was.
Yeah, we weren't able to quite catch that, but Special did steal an ultimate. Not sure if that was maybe an Emperor's Divide trying to disengage Caedral, actually.
Oh man, so much damage from Caedral. Inspired Force to flash out of fear of getting jumped on. Now Caedral is getting somewhat surrounded, but he's going to escape. Special has gone all the way in. He's forced to flash defensively. Equalizer was already used, and the prowling projectile tags VandeR. There's the follow over the wall. You and me brings Yuumi all the way to the front, but the ultimate's on cooldown. No more chapters to read. That's a defensive arcane shift over the wall for Hjarnan, and Rogue get 2 kills.
Yeah, exceL getting way too excited, jumping into enemy territory and going for the kills. Started with a good invade from Caedral, but they overstayed, they overcommitted. Caedral really trying to jump in there, and Rogue's comp had the survivability and the CC to really collapse and punish them.
And just like that, Rogue closed that gold gap. And of course, as Hjarnan and KaSing moved into those choke points, their ultimates were on cooldown. No True Shot Barrage, no final chapter. And that just means Rogue do not get punished. So we crest 15 minutes, and it's Rogue and exceL even footing, even game. Not a lot separating. I'm quite excited to see the replay for where exceL was going in, and it just felt very ambitious on the exceL squad because they were very disconnected.
Yeah, because it was those couple members moving up from the mid lane that really got caught initially, and it ended up being Special that bailed out and cost some members of his team their lives. But, you know, they're still not in a terrible position, I don't think. You know, the gold is bang on even. They still should have priority in a lot of these lanes. So as long as they're not going too aggressive, it shouldn't be too bad for this squad. But we'll see it one more time because, again, Special found Larssen, but he got bumped right back in towards the rest of his team and could not follow up. They couldn't get the damage down on towards Larssen. I don't know what he expected because that was just really, really unfortunate, walking straight into multiple members, and Caedral flashes over, trying to go for the highlight reel. I don't know what that was about.
And it looked like VandeR stepped forward to eat the Sonic Wave as well. That may have just tagged Larssen, so good heads-up play on the side of the support for Rogue. And it allows him to get 2 kills, you know. Special saw an opportunity, and obviously it didn't, you know, come through to fruition. Now VandeR is caught out a little. He gets Dragon Rage kicked into the wall. Mystic Shot will tag him, but again, no further damage. Now True Shot Barrage is available if Hjarnan sees a clear shot, but I don't think it'll be enough to kill him just yet.
Yeah, the angle on that kick was just a little bit sharper there. They would have been able to maybe get him underneath the tower and lock down him for a kill, but he will be able to get out. And now Rogue actually feeling a little bit more confident with Inspired and Larssen around this top lane. They will finally break this turret, which will put them into the lead.
And there we go. That gives them a 500 gold lead, evens out the tower game at 1-1. Ocean Drake is 2.5 minutes away. And we are solidly and comfortably into the mid-game. So let's turn our perspective to Rogue. They're the ones that got the kills. They punished exceL. Where did they take this team composition? Renekton's got Black Cleaver. Does he want to split push or try and unlock a side lane?
Yeah, I think Prophet right now in a side lane is going to be quite strong. Ultimately, I don't think he's able to really pressure down a tower because he's not a ranged top laner. It's much harder for him to knock down the structures. In a 1v1, that does make him strong. You know, he has a lot of these base stats that melee champions do have to take those types of fights. Also has the Merc Treads to defend against Expect's Rumble. But ultimately, I think Rogue are comfortable just waiting this one out a little bit more. They have the easier to execute 5v5 composition. They have the scaling on 3 items with their 2 major carries, and it feels more like exceL will be pressured to make a move earlier than a Rogue would, perhaps, even if exceL are behind.
Is it clear-cut scaling advantage to Rogue's composition here? I think obviously in the 5v5s it's understandable, but you know, with the Ezreal, with the Sylas, you know, how do they match up at 3-4 items?
So it's much harder for exceL because their comp is a lot more conditional based on skill shots from a Yuumi and an Ezreal, and based on taking much longer fights where they avoid the initial engage from Rogue. Because if they are able to step back and wait out a lot of those major cooldowns, they don't really have the same big high impact ults that they would rely on. You know, once special hits level 16, that ult is on a 15-second cooldown, so you can keep stealing those high impact ones, and that's when exceL's comp maybe gets a little bit easier to execute playing around those Sylas ults.
All right, so well, exceL will pick up an easy dragon because Rogue committed all their resources to the top lane. Ooh, but this is going to get interesting. The projectile into the last chapter. Now Special finds the connection because stun's not going to be enough, though. It's instantly turned around. Inspired's ulti locks down Special.
Yeah, the rest of Rogue just waiting there. Inspired not going to let that one happen. It was an ambitious teleport there. Hjarnan and KaSing joining together, but ultimately Rogue were able to disengage and punish.
Man, just so much CC, and then there's not enough survivability. There's no real front line on the side of exceL.
Yeah, there's also no hard CC. It just is all delayed. It's all not coming in all that quickly. So unfortunately for exceL, they weren't able to lock down Woolite or VandeR and burst them down because their comp just doesn't have those tools.
No, they absolutely don't, and Rogue does. So they've punished every aggressive move that exceL have made in the last 5 minutes. That's why Rogue have got themselves 3 kills. I've got themselves 1,500 gold in the lead. We've just hit 20 minutes on the game clock, and the advantage that exceL has right now is in the dragons. Ocean Drake is going to be up in 4 minutes time, so if this game goes late, if it pushes past, the threat of Elder Dragon is scaling, and that's not something you want to give to all of the damage dealers on the side of exceL. There's a lot of burn that can come through from that buff.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the team comp like exceL's, you look at it and you say maybe they're actually best in a siege situation with this Ezreal and this Yuumi. So if they are in a position with the Baron buff, that will come in very handy for them. Starts off with the teleport from the mid lane to the top lane. Of course, KaSing gets to go along with them. And Special does have the Rakan ult, so he's trying to get in here for the quickness. But you see, a quick flash away from Woolite is all it takes to kite back into the rest of his team to get that kill.
Oh, really nicely done. Defensive play and then Inspired connecting with that Glacial Prison. I think actually the way the observers are trying to highlight the perspective was from KaSing. Just attached to a champion and follow them around the map. But as it stands, I mean, look, this is the number 10 and number 9 teams from the spring split.
Here we go.
They're going to be trading. As I start story time, Inspired's going to find the blast cone over the wall. Final chapter's not doing huge amounts onto the tankiness of Inspired, and exceL, they just simply cannot find the kills. They don't have enough CC yet.
It's just not reliable for them, so they're going to keep looking for these types of plays, and maybe if Caedral can find a flank with this Larssen, then it could be possible for a big kick that knocks a priority member from Rogue into the rest of the team, and that is how they could win a team fight, but for now it just is not looking great.
Yeah, and what I was saying just before that is, you know, these are the 2 teams that have something to prove. They struggle to find a rhythm and really challenge many of the other teams here in LEC in the spring split. And exceL, I think they had slightly higher highs than Rogue did in spring, but they both come into summer. They've both got some roster, you know, modifications and changes, and they've got to show Europe what they can do. And as it stands, definitely clear-cut behind the strongest that Europe has to offer.
Yeah, you know, exceL was one of those teams that always upset. Rogue was always a team that was trying to do better. Now they've made major changes, bringing in so many players from that Polish Ultra Liga roster that did so well in that ERL, and the changes are supposed to help them. They are supposed to be a step forward. Today's game is really that first step for either of these teams. The one that wins will have sort of that pathway that they can go on to not be a 9th or 10th place team.
Exactly. Very early win in the season is always beneficial. Maybe Baron's going to help either of these squads. Rogue started it, by the way, a moment ago before they were pushed outside of the pit by exceL. And I think it is very important to note just how much AoE damage is on the side of exceL. You know, when you look at Sylas's kit, True Shot Barrage, Yuumi Ultimate, Equalizer, and that's before you add in any potential thefts. You know, throw in a Emperor's Divide or Glacial Prison if Special can get his hands on one of those. And there's a lot of damage to work with. Look at this flank. This is just for the tower for now. If Larssen or Inspired step forward, and will be at risk of getting jumped on. And exceL, that's a very, very good ultimate to steal with the Prism.
Yeah, it's a high-impact ultimate, but it needs to mean something now for exceL, because once you steal an ult like that, or any ult really, you have to wait quite a significant time before you're able to repeat that same Senjuani ultimate. So because he stole it prior to that potential turret dive and play around the mid lane, that was what they were looking for. Now if it just times out, or he throws it out in not really that impactful and engage, you're going to be missing that for a fight that could be around the next dragon or potentially a Baron now that we're 24 minutes in.
Yeah, absolutely. High risk, of course, but a reward if it can land when you have an exceL kit that doesn't have a huge amount of hard lockdown. That was a fantastic Glacial Prison. Inspired continues to step forward, but Special, he used it defensively, saving his own life. Dragon's Rage kick following up, as well as the secondary Q. Now VandeR continues to run for his life. Defensive teleports coming up from Rogue, but it's Special that ends up trading 1-for-1 with Woolite. Inspired is so low. Expector's trying to chase him down, can't find it out. Caedral needs to fight. Not gonna kill him! Inspired survives!
It was so close right there. Ultimately, Rogue come out on top, thwarting the engage attempt there of exceL. I have no idea how VandeR survived, but he was the hero.
But for the first time, exceL get themselves a kill, but they are punished every time they try to re-engage or fight. Rogue started the fight, and Rogue ended the fight winning it.
Yes, they did. VandeR goes in and then does not get touched. He's at 50 HP maybe and will not go down. There are also some opportunities in there for Caedral to go for the hero plays, but ultimately it will just mean Rogue get further ahead.
This Lee Sin has just simply not worked out. 25 minutes in, there hasn't been any kills secured. While Caedral had pressure in the early game, it didn't amount to any noticeable or sizable advantages for his squad.
Yeah, ultimately what he did was put down Deep Vision, stop Inspired from making too many plays, and steal some camps, which is fine, but didn't have the same early game impact that maybe we would have expected if he had gone for an Elise pick that we've seen very popular, or even the Rek'Sai could have been maybe a better option for them to get them in a position to snowball this game.
Yeah, and you can feel the shift in power. Rogue haven't been able to touch a dragon because Caedral, with his pressure, had early dragons on lockdown. But at 25 minutes, Rogue will get their hands on their first of the game. They still only have that 1,600 gold lead, but the control and the pace feels like it's at the helm of Rogue. You know, they're dictating it. They're very comfortable. They've got scaling that you've talked about already. And now they can just start, forcing exceL's hand around objectives.
Yeah, the biggest thing for Rogue here is the lead for Larssen in the mid lane, over 1,000 gold lead. Here we go, mid.
All right, that was a very, very good kick from Caedral. Cast a curse. Just as we start criticizing his Lee Sin, he finds a crucial pick onto VandeR. But what can they get in addition? Baron is available, but Larssen, that's the Banshee's Veil popped. He's going to be able to escape for now.
I wonder if exceL want to move back towards the Baron. You know, they needed to clear out the minion wave to get priority here, and there is a control ward in the pit. So if they can clear that and bait in a member of Rogue to try and face check, that could be their avenue to get a winning fight.
All right, so they're not going to start the Baron just yet. Special has stolen himself the Dominus from Prophet's Renekton. And wait to see if any sort of engages happen. The True Shot Barrage, swing and a miss, didn't exactly get the minion wave. So Hjarnan and KaSing just watching as their tower gets obliterated. 3 towers apiece for Rogue and exceL.
Yeah, I actually really don't like that move from exceL after getting the kill. You know, they had the right idea from the start. They went mid to clear that wave so they could keep that mid outer turret alive, but then they sent all 4 members into the river to clear away effectively 1 control ward. Then Caedral went to farm his jungle, Expect went top lane, so mid lane turret was left utterly defenseless.
Yeah, that was obviously just completely toppled. So Rogue, very, very content as they continue to scale. Woolite just picked up his Infinity Edge, by the way. So Eye Edge, Essence Reaver, Rapid Fire Cannon, Death Cap for Larssen literally a second ago. And this was that fight several minutes ago, actually, with a great ulti from Inspire.
Yeah, so I actually want to follow Caedral at the start because I think his play is really cool. He lands the Q onto VandeR, then flash kick to try and get that knock-up on towards Woolite. Of course, they thought they were going to get the kill on towards VandeR. He ends up flashing away and ends up being a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Rogue because all those low health bars, Rogue were just able to survive, and even with the True Shot Barrage, like it's right on the money, but it's just not enough.
No, not enough damage. Hjarnan, his Iceborne Gauntlet first item just didn't carry it up. He's got the Blade of the Rune King, he's got the fully stacked Mirror Mana now. So we are entering the late game, as it were. 3-4 item spikes, but it just feels like it's Rogue that are dictating the pace. And outside of Vision, which they're now starting to channel, I want to see how Rogue continues to press that lever.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a play around this Baron buff. It has to be the next thing here. They have the 3-item spikes on their 2 primary carries. It makes them so terrifying, and they have the ability to engage from long range with the Senjuani ult, or if VandeR can find a flank on this Rakan, they have the tools to find that beautiful team fight. It's just about actually pulling the trigger for them, which they've been a little more reluctant to do, I think.
And of course, you know, taking a little closer eye at Larssen, 2-0-1. He was one of the rookies that we're very excited about coming into the LEC and the league, and he's somebody that's been around sort of the challenger scene for a fair while and has held off on coming to the big stage. His debut yesterday didn't have the greatest opportunity to shine, despite getting a few kills in the mid lane. But today, on his Azir, he's up 30-40 CS before 30 minutes, and he can have a huge impact in the game with his current items and the state. You can see how aggressive Rogue are pushing towards exceL, challenging them at every step.
Yeah, right now, Rogue, with their strength, are going to be the first ones to walk mid lane, hit that minion wave, and get the push off. They did sacrifice some control over the vision in the river for it, which is what both these teams are going to be jockeying over for the rest of the game, ultimately, until this Baron is eventually taken.
All right, Baron dance, good old EU special. Just keep looking at the minimap, guys. Keep looking at vision. It's going to be the contest, and we'll wait to see which team pulls the trigger. But I want to talk about Yuumi itemization. We're getting to 30 minutes. Got Ardent Censer completed as well as that Athene's. What's your take? Do you like it, dislike it?
Yeah, I mean, Ardent Censer is the pretty standard item coming in after the Athene's. Athene's just synergizes so well with her kit, you know, with the E being on a charge system. Athene's effectively doing similar things right there. You can double up to get the extra shield too, and the Ardent Censer just gonna make you do more damage. I think maybe a little less effective on a champ like the Ezreal as opposed to a Xayah perhaps, but still going to be the best bang for your buck on Yuumi.
And of course, with Baron and Azir, it's always going to go down very, very quickly. Larssen actually stays inside the pit for now, and exceL is starting to challenge.
Yeah, exceL bringing 3 members into the river now. Caedral gets stunned up.
Oh, Glacial Prison comes out again. Inspired is not hesitating. The fight isn't done just yet, though, as the Prowling projectile goes out. Inspired survives for a few seconds longer. This time, True Shot Barrage gets the kill.
Oh yeah, the barrage coming in. Now the rest of exceL pushing forward. Rogue will flash away and a TP in as well.
All right, defensive teleport from Rogue will stop any further aggression. Prophet is being melted by the Flame Spitter. The Leandri's Torment from Expect, Blade of their own king on Hjarnan, will be able to chunk him down if given enough time.
Yeah, so right now, Infernal Drake is spawning up. The rest of exceL are going to move down. Rogue will sacrifice this, giving the second Infernal of the game to exceL, but they're going to trade it for control around this Baron when both junglers respawn.
Okay, Rogue gonna push up to the top. That's the 4th dragon to exceL. Double Infernal, double Ocean. And the Elder Drake will be up in 5 minutes time. So that is a very, very big timer. Neither team is fully committed to Baron. And really, outside of Inspired, just finding picks, he's been involved in 5 of his team's 6 kills. It has been a little bit of a stalemate. Teams aren't really using waves to push into enemy territory very effectively.
Yeah, you know, we've seen Rogue sort of playing around the big cooldowns on their ultimates. exceL don't have those, as we already mentioned. Keep your eyes on specialties all the way at the top of this fight. If there was going to be a situation where Rogue walked into the river, he would have a great flank.
Okay, huge teleport advantage in favor of exceL. Hjarnan, Special, and Expect all available to them. Only Prophet on the side of Rogue. So you may see them bunched up and grouped up a little more regularly. Inspired still sitting with his ultimate. And now Rogue, do they fancy the Baron, or are they just challenging for vision? Playing this one content and slow, looking for that first win in the Summer Split.
Yeah, this is a really interesting game to watch here. We're going to go ahead and check out the pro view here of, this is going to be Hjarnan's Ezreal, all right, because they were eventually able to catch out right here at the start. Inspired went in and they got Hjarnan, rather Caedral down, but then he does see the opportunity to go on forward here. He leaps on in, and then they have the super long range spells on their ultimates. You can see it's a total fadeaway. He's not even looking at that one as it goes through.
Very nicely done. Continue to chase down onto Prophet, but Prophet was able to flash defensively. And it's really interesting to see the decision making and how Hjarnan decides to actually cast his spells and target. Unfortunately, not more than just the 1 kill, and unfortunately for exceL, they're still behind, but that is a very positive turn in what has been very rogue-dominated passage of play.
Definitely, definitely. It is really curious to watch this exceL comp be played, though, because it seems like all their fights, you have a lot of very low members escaping at the end, and they're trying to use the Equalizer and also the True Shot Barrage from Ezreal to snipe people down at the end. It makes it very, very conditional on whether this team will be successful or not in a team fight.
But Ender, this is exactly exactly what you said in draft, that the composition is difficult to execute. It is situational, where on the Rift you fight, what spells are available, and without a huge amount of hard CC, it's very difficult to get the kills. Rogue, they've started Baron this time around.
Yeah, Rogue want to bring exceL in for a fight, but no, again, they make the call to avoid it. You have Special down in the bottom lane pushing up. Right now, Rogue with 5 members should have control over mid. This means they can use that pressure to walk back into the river and clear away the vision, make it dark again, and hope that exceL walk in for a trap.
And remember, teleport advantage to exceL, so they're able to play the side lane. Special hasn't yet stopped pushing that bottom lane. And the Sundisk was taken down mid. Look, Special still pushing in. Luden's Proto Belt and Hourglass, so he's got a whole bunch of AP if he wants to start hammering away. Wisely backs up. There's no vision for exceL really anywhere in Rogue's territory. He doesn't want to get caught out just yet.
Yeah, trying to judge this 1v1 in the split push between Special and Prophet, I actually think Sylas has a good chance at this point, you know, with that Zhonya's coming in, that's 40% CDR on this champion, who also has the Conqueror for the added sustain and damage in these extended trades against a champion like this Renekton.
What I love about this gold graph, if you look on the far left-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, is the differences. 1.3 was the maximum lead. exceL could accrue 2.4 is the maximum lead that Rogue has been able to accrue. And it actually is very reminiscent of yesterday's game, Schalke versus exceL. That went, 40 minutes, was very, very close for very long, and it did come down to just a couple of team fights around Baron. That's the Danger Man, inspired. Whenever he hits an ultimate, good things happen for Rogue.
Yeah, and the hope for them is that they're able to land their ultimate before Special can steal all of theirs, because Special is at level 18 now. You can cycle through 3-4 ultimates in extended fights like exceL want to be taking here, and it just seems like neither team wants to pull the trigger. Or maybe exceL want to pull the trigger, but they just can't because they don't have the tools to.
So what do you do now? All right, Elder Drake is up in 45 seconds. Baron has been alive for a while, so with 2 major objectives to contest and multiple teleports to deal with, it's a difficult situation for any team.
Yeah, I think for exceL, actually we're just seeing teleport engage.
We are indeed. VandeR's looking for the engage. He gets the knockup. That's technically 3. But here comes Larssen with the help of Woolite. Expect is running for his life. He got the equalizer down, but it will not be enough. Caedral forced to flash defensively. KaSing with the help of Yuumi stays alive, but Rogue find the engage.
Rogue pull the trigger and get 2 kills there, sniping out Hjarnan at the start of the fight. That was exactly what they needed. They're going to move towards this Baron now, but Elder Dragon is spawning soon, and exceL might want to sneak that away.
Oh, it's going to be very difficult to kill, but there's a lot of damage in Special's kit. Elder Dragon, 12,500. Rogue, they have to know what's up. They've already finished Baron, and they're barreling down for Elder.
Yeah, I think exceL do not have enough time for this. Rogue are on the way. It is a Baron power play, 5 versus 3. There is a teleport on expect when he spawns in 15 seconds, but this is just going to be 2 quick ones for Rogue.
Okay, Special does have Rakan's ultimate hijack. That can be huge. Do they risk a 3v5 in the Elder Dragon? 2 seconds for Hjarnan. He can throw the True Shot Barrage. Special has used the VandeR ult. It is not secured. The knockup from VandeR onto Caedral. He's running for his life. He's attached with KaSing's Yuumi and continuing to run. Prophet will find himself a stun, and this should just be a matter of time. Woolite gets Caedral, and KaSing follows after.
Yeah, this could be really bad for exceL, losing both neutral objectives. Now, Rogue do not have a minion wave in the bottom lane. That one's still stuck away, and Hjarnan smartly walked to this mid lane to clear that minion wave, so they will be able to buy time for their jungle and support to respawn.
Oh, really, really good engage from VandeR. They just found one pocket of darkness, caught exceL unawares, and that led to absolute disaster.
But this is one of the biggest weaknesses of Yuumi. If you engage on her, her peel tools are actually really garbage for an enchanter. You know, her Q doesn't slow unless it travels for a full second. The ult is a delayed route, so you can see even with Ezreal, when VandeR finds this flank, there's absolutely nothing you can do to disengage this. Hjarnan immediately gets burst, and even though KaSing can hop onto Caedral and escape, expect will not be so lucky.
And that's what you said as well, that Yuumi and actually the exceL comp when ahead can do very well. They can be very oppressive. But when behind, the kit and the composition itself doesn't have a lot of get back into the game type of options.
Yeah, I mean, the strength of exceL's comp is their range, but when Rogue have all these tools to just jump melee on top of you and blow you up with these big cooldowns, it is not going to work. Now with the Elder Dragon and the Baron buff, the siege should come easily.
Man, if it wasn't hard enough already, Hjarnan throws out the True Shot Barrage, but it doesn't matter. 2 GAs on Rogue. It is Prophet as well as Woolite that's got that in their kit. The inhibitor falls over. It's a 7,000 gold lead. And Rogue, they've played this one exactly how they wanted. Get to late, then win the game.
Yeah, and they're keeping the tempo up too. Larssen teleports to the top lane to catch this wave, and he's waiting for that next minion wave to group up. So they have basically 2 minion waves coming in for the last minute with this Baron buff. That should mean yet another inhibitor for them, because exceL pulling the trigger against this buffed up team comp would go really, really poorly.
All right, 25 seconds for Elder. That's the first buff. 55 seconds for Baron. Equalizer is thrown down. That decent-ish damage onto Woolite. Special kind of whiffs the stolen Glacial Prison, but it does defend the objectives.
Yeah, those are actually just smart zoning ults. Like, honestly, the Senjuani ult just occupying the entire lane right there will buy them time to clear that wave.
I just wanted to fight, and I completely forgot they're defending their base. It's Nexuses that win games, not
and also,
kills.
Special's ult is back up again.
There we go. It is available. Prophet's going to go all the way forward. He's got himself a stun to Hjarnan. Hjarnan gets caught up once again by VandeR. And there goes the kitty cat. Rogue find 2 quick kills. The second inhibitor, and now it's a 3v5 defense.
Yeah, Rogue are charging on in here. Special makes the play.
Emperor's Divide comes up from Special. This just needs to buy time. He goes golden thanks to Hourglass, and Prophet's being burned down from the Flame Spitter. But the GA is popped, is procced, and it will bring him back alive. There is no kills for exceL. The Nexus turrets are falling. That second one already down. And as Rogue turn their attention to the Nexus, Rogue win their first game of summer.
Slow and steady wins the race there for Rogue. They draft team fight, they wait for their item spikes, and then they immediately pulled the trigger waiting. Or saying, maybe this team's a little hesitant. I don't know if they feel comfortable finding these fights. But then VandeR said, oh yeah, we're going in and we're winning the game right now.
It was a low-risk game style from Rogue, but it worked. It's not what we've come to expect from the likes of G2 or OG, for example. But it is the first win of summer. And it was in confident fashion. I mean, Larssen ended up finishing the game 3-0-8. I think he closed out everything that Inspired started. And for me, Inspired Senjuani definitely was impressive this game.
Yeah, after being set a little bit behind in the early game too, because exceL were doing a very good job of tracking him and stopping him from having a very high impact. But ultimately, him paired up with VandeR to find these engages, you know, those 2-1s in the mid lane and in the top lane. Both times finding out Hjarnan were key for Rogue to come away with the win.
And when you look at the exceL composition, you go back to the question we said, you know, yes, Yuumi's open, yes, Yuumi's available, but now you first pick her, the team composition around the cat, challenging, you know, difficult to pull off, and we sort of saw that in execution. Caedral wasn't quite able to get the angles on those Dragon Rages. Special didn't really have a high impact stolen ultimate, and the rest of the comp couldn't bring the rest to the table.
Yeah, I think my takeaway from this game for exceL is that it was a very interesting, a very cool composition. You know, in theory, I really like a lot of the ideas they were trying to bring, but for this team, you know, that's bringing in a new player, that's trying to climb up, I don't think you have to be this fancy. I think you should just go back, go to the fundamentals, and bring that into play.
Yeah, definitely the case, and sort of what Rogue did, you know? A little bit more traditional. So Rogue, they end the weekend 1-1. Rogue got smashed yesterday by Misfits, bounced back today with a convincing win. One of the guys that I definitely want to look at was Larssen. We get a couple of big plays from him on that Azir. And I think I definitely want to see just how many of them were started by Inspired.
Yeah, I think this was when he got caught out initially and decides, instead of disengaging, he just throws Special back in on towards the rest of his team. And you notice how he keeps the range there with the Azir, applying all that DPS, and then VandeR, of course, body blocking the Sonic Wave there from that Lee Sin to get him out safely.
And of course, taking a look here from his perspective in the game, with a little bit of luck, we'll get 1 or 2 more plays. Oh, this was the VandeR engage just from behind that got Elder and then eventually Baron.
See, I really feel like this game was just a VandeR highlight reel, personally. Larssen's doing all the damage, and he did play well, but this was a team-wide effort, I feel like, from Rogue.
I mean, it's funny because if you were to vote for your player of the game, Key player of the game, who would you vote for? I'm hoping our guys are on there. Inspired, Larssen, and VandeR. They're going to be your options.
Those are the correct three options.
I agree entirely, but I'm leaning Inspired.
Oh, you're leaning Inspired?
Yes.
I think it has to be VandeR. The creativity in those engages I thought was clutch from him. It was a really good performance by his Rakan.
Man, look at that mountainous drop. Eventually goes to 7K after about 33, 34 minutes. And that was the VandeR engage that got them the huge win. But yeah, key player of the game, as we already mentioned, Larssen, Inspired, and VandeR. You guys go decide. Don't vote Larssen. He finished it up. All credit to him. But it's the setup that deserves the win today.
Yeah, you know, Larssen had some good games yesterday, today. Inspired had a good game yesterday, today. VandeR just had a really good game today. He deserves it.
What's your take on exceL's performance over the weekend, of course? Now, they end 0-2, slightly more competitive game. Actually, no, that's not fair. They had two very competitive games, slow-paced, but they end up falling short at the final hurdle.
I think this team needs reliability. They need something they can rely on, whether it's a player that comes in and consistently performs. I think that can be expect for them, but also just in the way they draft. I think they need easier things, and not easier as in this team isn't good enough to pull off these types of comps, but I think this comp is just very swingy. You know, you can have fights like in this game that were just like slivers of HP that determined whether or not they would win or lose, and that ends up making them not look too great.
It's actually a concept that I really like, ease of execution. It doesn't imply that you're a bad team, right? There's no implications there. It's just, is the comp simple to understand and pull off in more scenarios? Rogue's was, they pulled it off well, and that's why Rogue won. So let's check in with Laure and their rookie jungler.
Thank you very much, guys, and thank you, Inspired, for joining me. Congrats on your first victory. The game took a long time to take off. I'd say you tried to gank top a few times. It didn't work. So what was the way to adapt around this with the game plan?
I would say it was hard to do something on bot side and mid side because they had early game champions like Sylas and Larssen. So our only chance to get a lead in the game was ganking top. But it was really close, but didn't work out. But even though we knew that our team comp is outscaling really hard and the pressure is on enemy team to do something in the game.
I agree, and even knowing that exceL's tools in the composition were only long poking range without actual CCs as the caster said it, how did you approach team fights knowing this?
We knew that we can't just start the team fight randomly without any setup because they will just poke us out. But we had to find the flank, and our champion Rakan is really good at flanking, so we just played slowly. It took us a little bit too long to find this flank, but it was fine.
Why did it take long to find the flank, would you say?
Maybe we were a bit too nervous, because it's our first week.
Afraid of winning sometimes?
Yeah, maybe.
Except of that, you're one of the rookie players of this summer split, 17-year-old, one of the youngest players in the league, I guess. So tell me about making your debuts in the best region in the world.
I don't know. It was a really fine week.
Yeah?
And I'm looking forward to get some more wins.
Who are you waiting for to face? Who's the team you look
Every team.
Every team?
Yeah, I want to check how good our teams.
How about G2?
It will be the hardest one, probably.
Well, you have time to prepare for this one. Thank you very much for this very first interview in the LEC. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, it's going to be SK Gaming versus Schalke 04. Stay tuned, guys.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
He's forced to flash defensively. Equalizer was already used, and the prowling projectile tags VandeR. There's the follow over the wall. Yuumi brings Yuumi all the way to the front, but the ultimate's on cooldown. No more chapters to read. He used it defensively, saving his own life. Dragon's Rage kick following up, as well as the secondary Q. Now VandeR continues to run for his life. Defensive teleports coming out from Rogue, but it's special. That ends up trading 1-for-1 with Woolite.
No flash, Rakan. I snare. Good job. Hey, go slow.
Yeah, I think for exceL, actually we're just seeing teleport engage.
We are indeed. VandeR's looking for the engage. He gets the knockup. That's technically 3. But here comes Larssen with the help of Woolite. exceL is running for his life. There we go. It is available. Prophet's going to go all the way forward. He's got himself a stun to Hjarnan. Hjarnan gets caught up once again by VandeR. The Nexus turrets are falling. That's second one already down. And as Rogue turn their attention to the Nexus, Rogue win their first game of summer. Welcome to ProView. Exclusive POV streams for every player in every game let you get closer to the action and get inside their minds. With Multiview, you can create your very own stream, unique to you, with up to 4 feeds. And with our advanced timeline, you can hone in on all the big plays that matter most to you. Watch LEC in a whole new way for €14.99 or get the All Access Pass for $19.99.
In this cheap hotel, thought a little bit of space would help us see it. Now I see it. On the bed and I close my eyes, think about those perfect nights in Phoenix. I still feel us, but there's no relief. It's weighing on me. It's taking its toll. It's not letting go.